Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Give It a Year with me, Jenny Q. This is my podcast diary where I do all sorts of crazy and fun and wonderful things like share stories, poetry, thoughts, reflections, commentary, and sometimes a little bit of celebration like today. Today is July 1st, 2026, and for me it's a great day because it's Canada Day, and that is what today's focus is all about. So if you're a listener who's from Canada, happy Canada Day. And if you're a listener who's not from Canada, I'm going to share a little bit about Canada today with you. Things you may not have known, or you might go, that's pretty cool. So, I have woken up very early on Wednesday. Now, it's not Tuesday, but it's because Canada Day was on a Wednesday. And I actually wanted to complete this on Canada Day. So, because I care, and I wanted this to go out on my other social media to celebrate, it is 5 a.m. And that is how dedicated I am to this episode. Anyway, as always, my podcast promises are listed below in the write-up. And let's get on with it. I did a bunch of research and I wrote a script, and so it's early, and I'm going to sort of go through the things I researched, and I'm going to share that with you. So, July 1st, 2026, my goodness. Happy Canada Day, like I said. I know for my fellow Canadians, my lady Canadians, my peers, my friends, right now things are quite confusing, and they're tough right now in Canada. We have officially been diagnosed as being in a recession, which is basically meaning money is tight and life is tough. So bills are high and the world is loud. But today our country turns 159 years old. And we're still here, and we're still figuring it out, and we are so resilient. So let's go back a little bit, and I'm going to share, not in detail because this is a very short podcast this morning, but it's how we became us. It was not overnight, as with any country. It was a bit slow and an interesting growth. So the date we all know, of course, is 1867, July 1st. That's our Confederation, and that's when we became the Dominion of Canada. That's when we had our own country, but we were still tied to Britain for a lot of the big stuff. If you want to use the metaphor as a child, we were just learning to walk. We were there. Now, this is the date I found most interesting. Because I didn't actually realize this, and I didn't really learn this in school. 1931, the Statute of Westminster, and what that is when Britain, as our parent nation, I guess, said, you make your own laws, you are now legally independent. So that means that in 1931, the Statute of Westminster is a landmark British law that basically what I just said, it made us independent on a legal level, and that was on December 11th, 1931. And it gave us legislative authority to self-govern, which is kind of a big deal. And before this act, Britain held the ultimate power to change any of our laws. So this is a very significant date, actually. So it changed our relationship with Britain from master and colony to more of a partnership of equal and two independent nations. So what it ended the British having any kind of legal veto or ruling over us. It allowed us to have independent foreign policy, which means we gained total authority and control of our international relations. We could sign our own treaties and decide whether or not to enter, wars. And it also created the modern Commonwealth. It transformed the British Empire into the British Commonwealth of nations. So it wasn't just us, it was other folks where Britain was kind of the parent, I guess, if we go along with that metaphor. And then in February 15th, another very important date, February 15th, 1965, was the date that the maple leaf flag officially came into use. And it was after months and months of debate about having a new flag, because up until 1965, we actually had the Canada flag was actually a red flag with a Union Jack in the corner and a coat of arms. The new flag was just a maple leaf, as you know. It's our very internationally well-known symbol. And that was kind of symbolically, I guess, the proof or the point where we officially grew up. Now, Canada, once we kind of got up there, we now have the Canada flag. I love the Canada flag. Canada flag, red and white. Super proud. I've got a Canada flag, hood flag on my car today, and my car's white. So it's very, very cool. So now, it doesn't mean Canadians weren't making a difference prior to 1965. In fact, this is probably the more interesting part of the podcast today, is I dug up some information about what Canadians have done, who we've been, and what we contribute. And so one of the older references, or things, okay, how am I going to do this? Sorry, I've got about 5 or 6 things here. So one of probably the most well-known things that Canada is credited for is the discovery of insulin in 1921 in Toronto. And that was by Dr. Frederick Banting and Charles Best, and they discovered it at the University of Toronto. And before that, diabetes was a death sentence. And in the very Canadian style, these two actually sold the patent for $1, so that it wouldn't be expensive and so that millions could get well and live and survive. So thank Canada for that. Thank you for insulin. In 1981, in Brampton, Ontario, the Canada arm was built, and we built that for NASA's space shuttle. And now that robotic arm is still up there, and it helped to construct the International Space Station. And so we literally contributed and helped build the space in the future in orbit with the Canada arm, and that was back in 1981. Now in 1891, let's reverse some numbers there. In 1891, in Almonte, Ontario, James Naismith, you might know this, he invented the game we now call basketball. He called it the Peach Basket game, but eventually it became basketball. In Almonte, Ontario. Now, when I researched this, I was like, where's Almonte? I had no idea. And so this is what I found out. Almonte, it's a small town in Lanark County in eastern Ontario. It's, 45 minutes southwest of Ottawa, halfway between Ottawa and Kingston. And if you were, going down Highway 7, and if you're not in Canada, that won't help you. But if you do come to Canada and Ontario, that's where it is. And the thing that confused me is it said it sits on the Mississippi River. Well, if you think Mississippi River, you think of the United States. And I'm like, wait, geographically, that just doesn't make sense. So then I looked a little deeper, and this is what AI and Google told me, and it said the Mississippi River confusion gets everyone. It's not that Mississippi. So El Monte is on the big Mississippi River in the U.S. It's on the Mississippi River in Ontario. It's a totally different waterway. It's smaller. It's only about 200 kilometers long. I don't know what that is in miles, but you can look that up. And where it runs through eastern Ontario, and it dumps into the Ottawa River near Arnprior. So same name, different water, and near the home of Naismith, who invented the game of basketball. Now, here were some fun little ones that I discovered that I wanted to share. Just because Canada Day, everyone's going to talk about all sorts of other things, I thought I'd bring you something a little different. Apparently, in Canada, in 1917, in Toronto, a person by the name of Gideon Sundback perfected the separable fastener, also known as the zipper. It was Canadian engineering that you use every single day when you use a zipper. So Yay! Yay us. Now, ladies, I know they're not comfortable anymore, but back in 1964 in Montreal, Louise Boyer and her team at the Canadian Lady Corset Company redesigned and angled cups and upwire to become what was known as the Wonder Bra, and it became a global icon in design. Now, that was back in 1964. In the 1950s, in Winnipeg and in Ottawa, George Klein invented the first practical electric wheelchair after WW2, which is World War II, to help injured veterans. And now it's freedom and mobility for millions and millions of people, and there's all sorts of different wheelchairs. In my work as a support worker, I've seen so many. There are so many cool designs and features, and it's very, very cool. Very cool to know that it was a Canadian's innovation who started the whole electric wheelchair, and in tribute to our veterans. And I'll take a moment today on Canada Day to also just say thank you to all of the veterans in Canada who have fought in various wars, from our establishment to the most recent to the current. Thank you. Thank you for being as incredible as you're able to be. I am someone who's very grateful. And then the last thing I want to say before I finish up is I gotta wrap up because I have to go. It's early, but I do have to go. I actually have to work today because the work I do, support work, is 24/7. So I have to go to work. Another reason I'm doing this podcast so early. So just to wrap up. So between 1867 to 1965 to today, there's our flag might be only 61 years old, but we are 159. We've had recessions before, as I started out to say at the beginning. They come and they go. But you know what? As a nation, we keep building. We go through lots of different growing pains. We're going through some right now, but we do it. We do it because we're Canadian. We're strong. We're free. We're free thinkers. We're compassionate. We're kind. We're peacekeepers. We are people who we're helpers. And, you know, sometimes we get knocked down, but even when we get knocked down, we help out. I can't give you specific examples other than the fact of neighbors. I've seen a lot of people helping out at food banks and volunteering and all sorts of things in and around. Anyway, I'm just telling you, Canadians are great. Canadians are amazing people. I'm a little biased because I am one, but it's true. Anyway, but we keep going, and it's one step, one idea, and one contribution at a time. And so I am going to leave you, of course, with a question and my philosophy. So, my question for you, my friends, and this can apply to whether you are Canadian or not Canadian, whether you've been in Canada or have never been to Canada. What do you think of when you hear the word Canada? What is it about Canada that comes to your mind first? And what, as a secondary question today, surprised you in the information I shared today about Canada? For instance, I had no clue we invented the zipper. That's pretty cool. I'm actually kind of stuck on that. It's pretty cool. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up. And I'm going to, of course, remind everybody that whether you're Canadian or not, we can all do something in this world to make the world a better place in our own immediate space of our own home, friends, community, and also worldwide. We all can share our smile, share our love and our kindness, and share our laughter. So, with a Canada Day flavor, I'm going to say I share my smile with as many people as I can every single day, and I'll do that today when I go to work. And I hope that this podcast put a smile on your face. So, happy Canada Day. Sharing love and kindness. That can be anything from a hug to sharing time together. You know, maybe you go and sit with someone and celebrate and go watch fireworks tonight with someone. That's very cool. And I am going to finish off with sharing some laughter because I found 2 Canada Day type jokes. And so that's what I'm going to end with. And here we go. First joke. What did the snow say to the Rocky Mountains? I've got you covered. And the second joke. Why are beavers good to have as a friend? Because beaver is one of our animals, one of our national animals on the nickel. But anyway, why? Why is it good to have beaver as a friend? Because they give a damn. And on that note, folks, I'm going to wish everybody, whether you're Canadian or not, a happy Canada Day. Take some time today, hug a friend, smile, share, put some happy Canada Day up, share some of the interesting facts I shared with you, and just celebrate. Celebrate knowing that Canada is part of this incredible thing we call the world, and we have our spot and our place. And even though we're in the middle of a recession or the beginning of a recession, we've been through tough times. We'll make it through. We'll grow even more and continue to be some of the most kind, fun, incredible, wonderful people on this planet. Happy Canada Day, everyone. See you next week.